The whole time I have been in public service, I have been fighting to make North Carolina a great state. And I think we are. We've had a lot of tough times and we're still not out of them. But we are a good place to do business. At least Forbes says so, CEO Magazine says so, Site Selection Magazine says so. They have us in the top 3. But we have to do better. We can't rest on past accomplishments. We have to continue to streamline regulations. I never will forget on the small business listening tour. I listened to a man who had a convenience store, a mom and pop store, usually 1 or 2 employees there during the day. And he said, you know, I understand the need for regulation. I mean, I sell gas, you regulate that. You regulate my tanks. You regulate my pumps. I have a food service that you regulate. I sell tobacco that you regulate. I sell alcohol that you regulate. And I've got lottery tickets that you regulate. And to be truthful, I understand that. But what I don't understand is why can't you organize that? Why can't you cross-train some people? Why do they knock on my door when I don't know they're coming, and they knock at any and all times, and it disrupts my day multiple times each and every year? That costs me money. And surely you can do a better job, and I think we can. And as governor, I'm going to work on that. I thought it was a very compelling argument. We need to make our tax code fair. We need to have a one-stop shop for small business. And I've talked to Commerce about this. I will tell you a story. Practicing law back in Rutherford County in the late 80s, before I got to the General Assembly, I had a client, and I really don't remember what the issue was, but it was important to my client. It was important to my client. It was important to me. And I got on the phone to Raleigh, and I said, I've got a client, and we've got this situation, and A, B, C, and D, and I need your help. I don't do that. I said, well, who does do that? Well, call so-and-so. I called so-and-so. I gave them the whole spiel, and they said, I'm sorry, I don't do that. Call so-and-so. So I called so-and-so. That so-and-so, I gave them the whole spiel, and they said they didn't do it. I said, well, who does? And they gave me the guy that I first called. And I will tell you, the phone was abused at that time. It was ridiculous. We need a one-stop shop where small business can go. We need a web page, too, that has where you can get grants, where you can access government contracts, where you can have business to business, where you can learn about import and export. We need to be user-friendly. And I promise you we will do a better job of that. We need to be innovative and creative in education. That's what the early colleges were about. We have that ability more now with technology. But never forget that North Carolina has always been a state of opportunity. We should be proud of this state. When this nation was created, when North Carolina was carved out, the nascent act of our legislature was to create a public university. It's now the best public university system in the nation today. But there were great universities then, Harvard, Princeton, Yale, William and Mary, but you had to be rich to go there. North Carolina said, if you have the talent, if you have the ability, and if you have the desire, then in this state, you're going to have the opportunity to be the best that you can be. Terry Sanford took that to another level with the community college system. He said, if that university system is great, and it is, then we need to give that type of opportunity for people to better themselves throughout this nation. Today, North Carolina has the 3rd largest community college system in the nation, second to California and Texas, but by far more accessible than those, and I think by far more excellent than those. We should be proud of that. During the Great Depression, Governor O. Max Gardner from Shelby, North Carolina, which I used to represent in the Senate, said North Carolina will not close its public schools. Only one state in the Great Depression said we're not going to close our schools. It was North Carolina. In addition, he said, we're not going to lay off any teachers. That will make the recession or depression that much worse. And if you look at the 1950s, we took education and we took business and we married them with research, and we created the Research Triangle Park where 45,000 people work today. But more than that, those companies have call centers, manufacturing centers throughout North Carolina in rural areas. So I think it's very important that we keep those institutions strong and vibrant. It's like the tenant farmer that had been charged with stealing his landlord's mule one time. And they tried him, and the jury was very sympathetic with the tenant farmer. So when they came back in, the judge said, well, how does the jury find? And the foreman of the jury said, we find the defendant not guilty if he'll return the mule. Judge said, well, that's not a proper verdict. You're going to have to go back in. You're going to have to go back and reconsider that verdict. They went back in. They came back out, and Judge said, how does the jury find? He said, we find the defendant not guilty, and he can keep the mule. We need to keep a strong university system. We need to keep a strong community college system. That's what will help us create jobs.